Welcome, everybody, to a very impromptu celebration for spirituality gone wild. 6 years. 6 years. If you can believe that. Absolutely. Yeah, we're saying hi. That's Frosty. 6 years that I started live streaming, and it has been the most spectacular journey. I don't even know where to begin sometimes in the gratitude that I have for everything that's transpired. In the very beginning, it was Terry Miller, who goes by Terry Angel now, Karen Palmer, and I, and then a wonderful gentleman popped in, Jay Rothman, and we've had Jason Watts and Prince Lee Easton, and we've had Steve Weber, Joan of Angels, Josie Herndon, Drama to Dharma, Scott Stanfield, and the list goes on and on of people who have started here with SGW and given their heart and soul to everybody here, and my gratitude goes out to everybody immensely. It's been a huge learning process for me too, and I've been on a hiatus for a little while. I found out um, last September or so that I had a disease that I'd had for a long time, and it was eating my calcium, and I am now healed from that and on a healing journey, and I recently broke my leg, so I'm also healing from that. But the beautiful things that have transpired over the last few years kept me going, even though I didn't even know I needed to be kept going. It kept me going. All of my friends who would show up, and spirituality gone wild for most people has been a place where they stopped and they got the experience they needed to go out on their own, like Jay, who's doing this gorgeous show called Real Men, Real Talk. I hope I said that right. Real Talk, Real Men. Jay's gonna correct me if I totally muff that up, I'll promise you. So we're going to talk today about love and the magic of love here on Lionsgate, and how to truly create and be in the life that you desire. Spirituality Gone Wild has provided a platform for all of us to really gain community. And that's what tonight I want to connect with all of you. Tell me what's on your heart, and how can we be of service and hold you up tonight in love and in healing and all those fun things. Before we get going, though, I'm going to bring up Prince Fleet Easton, because he's been with us from the beginning. When he and I would hang out in Palm Springs, it was all about 100% about the going out and networking together and being this incredible duo in person, as well as right here live virtually. So without further ado, hello, my
Hello, my
darling.
darling. Hello. Hi, how are you? Hello, everyone. Yeah, we had some really wonderful times back then in Palm Springs. Our Mystic Mixers.
I am here. The
Here, the
Mystic
Mystic
Mixers.
Mixers.
Were
Yeah,
wonderful.
wonderful. Yeah, we had, and we go out during the daytime and go to all the businesses and collect different giveaway gifts and stuff. And, our first one, oh my gosh, remember? We had a packed house.
Oh, it was solid.
It was amazing.
I'm
I'm
getting a
getting a
feedback
feedback
when I
when I
talk,
talk.
so I'm going to
So I'm
let
going
you
to let
take
you take
over.
over. Okay. All right. What would you like me to say? Real quick. Just take it away.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Well, yes, I'm really excited to be here today because, yes, Debbie and I, we met 6 years ago at Joan of Angels, who was a dear friend of ours, as Debbie was talking about earlier. She was with us for a while, and Joan now has went on to do amazing things. She's traveling the world. She's in England right now doing conference, and she's been in Paris and all over the place. But what I was going to say is that I met Debbie at her house, and I had just lost the love of my life, and I was in a very sad place. And Debbie took me under her wing and said, I'm going to help you, and we're going to get through this together. So she really became a really dear friend. And then we created the Mystic Mixers, and we did several of those. And now I'm off doing my thing now. Yeah, I'm an ordained spiritual minister, and I have two songs out now that are on Apple and Spotify, and looking to be in the soundtrack of feature films, and I'm going to be on the cover of the Celebrity magazine. But the reason I'm telling you that is it all became possible from the song I'm going to sing for you, and I'm going to give you a real quick little background on it. This song was presented to me several years ago by a friend, Paul Weston, and Paul offered it to me. He offered me many songs, but when I heard this song, I knew this was a song that I had to sing and I had to record. So I went in the studio and recorded it. It's with a full live orchestra, and Paul loved the recording. And I said, Paul, you know what? Someday, I don't know how, but I'm taking this song to the world. Well, shortly after that, he died unexpectedly at 55 years old of a heart attack. So he's not with us now, and he has not seen what I have done with this. But I am so excited that I fulfilled my promise of taking and bringing this song to the world. And the song is called Shine. And I'm going to sing it for you right now. I watch the moonlight glisten in your blue eyes, enlighten all my world tonight, glowing all around. I see the starlight brighten up my dark days, enchanting like a fairy tale from a land of make-believe. To have and to hold you near, from this day forward my life is clear. When I look into your eyes, the angels shine around you, shine like a diamond in my new life, like a summer's day forever blue. I'll be waiting here for you, for you, for you. We'll build a new life together in our own world, a place for us where dreams come true. I'll be always there for you. Now I've got your love, there's no way I can go back. Never let me go, don't ever let me go. For you shine like a diamond in my new life, like a summer's day forever blue. I'll be waiting here for you, We'll build a new life together in our own world, a place for us where dreams come true. I'll be always there for you. Wherever we go from here, I'll take this moment where my life is clear. When I look into your eyes, the angels shine around you, shine. just shine like a diamond in my new life, like a summer sky forever blue. I'll be waiting for you, for you. Now I've got your love. There's no way I can go back. Never let me go. Don't ever let me go. For you
Well, Bleedy, that was definitely absolutely beautiful. Thank you,
shine.
sweetie.
You're very welcome.
I'm going to bring up right now Mr. Jay Rothman and Mr. David Reed Watson, two people that I am incredibly honored to have here, two people I consider friends in this world and who have held my heart and my hand through some rough times. I'll let David, I'll let you say hi really quick because I'm going to have to mute you.
Because I'm long-winded.
No, because we have feedback.
I know, and I'm getting ready to hop on an airplane, so I just wanted to congratulate you for this and thank you for having me in your tribe. I really appreciate it. Um, you know, Prince, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, and Jay, I love you, man. I can't wait to get back out to Sedona again to see you. But yeah, life is good. Life is good. No matter how many hardships we have, we've got this friendship that we can always turn to, and that's important. So go ahead and mute me, and I'm out of here. I got to catch this plane. So,
You mute you.
oh, okay.
we'll
Okay.
just we'll just keep you for appearance
Okay.
only.
All right. Okay. Ciao.
Yeah, it's been so much fun gathering all of the tribe throughout time. And the most unique part is that we could go a year, we could go 6 months without talking. And then all of a sudden here we are again, whether it's Fleety, whether it's David, whether it's Jay. And I want to just welcome Jay Rothman, who was the first gentleman to have a show on Spirituality Gone Wild and who brings to this world real men, real talk live in a way that is authentic and vulnerable, accountability. Jay, that's the things that you teach are just so alive for me today. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. I want to know how is life showing up for you today, but how is love showing up for you? And thank you for being my heart friend. Oh, I can't hear you.
Now you can.
Can.
Thank you for the surprise note this morning. Thankfully, I was available. I just want to bring us back down memory lane. Um, Debbie and I met. We were both residents in the same city at the same time in SoCal called Huntington Beach. And I was relatively early on in my own healing journey of what I call the true essence of coming home to return to love of self because I was had been 54 years old. I hit what some call that rock bottom. David, I love you, miss you, brother. Come back out to Sedona. We could do some beautiful hikes together and have some good, clean food here. But Debbie and I met and along the shoreline, and I had never done a podcast before. I had only started to share my own healing journey through digital blogs that eventually led to a couple of opportunities to co-author. But when I learned about Spiritually Gone Wild, and I asked, I think I asked Deb, what would it take for me to launch a show? And I'm going to paraphrase her, but she probably said something like, "Well, just start, and you'll figure out the rest from there." And it was such a gift it showed up right on time. And the first show I launched was Real Men, Real Talk Raw. It was just a one-on-one interview format. And then I got inspired to launch a couple of other shows, podcasts. And then I was pulled when I moved to Arizona to relaunch the first podcast called Real Men, Real Talk Raw into Real Men, Real Talk Live, where it would be a talk show with myself and 3 or 4 other men that are on their own journey of finding themselves and finding the true essence, who they were born to be, not who we had become as men living in modern society. And not all, I almost said American society, but one of my co-hosts is a man of the land from down under. He calls Australia home, and he's an Aboriginal from the land overseas. But you asked for me to talk a little bit about love. And, I will say this is that as a man living in modern society and spending his whole career in corporate America, I had pretty much detached from my own heart, and I was living in what I call, the mind or the ego space, and that was a safe place for me, because as long as you didn't see my heart, then my heart couldn't get hurt. And I know I'm not speaking a language that we all don't understand, because we've all been there or we're still in it. And for me, the journey of coming home was really about saving my life. My health conditions were stacked up pretty high, significant. Gave myself permission to die in Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in LA County, so I could rebirth. And part of that rebirthing was learning how to feel safe to open my heart, even knowing that my heart may get hurt, but having a hurt heart is better than having a walled off heart. And so my journey was really about, it started at the shoreline where Deb and I met and lived in Huntington Beach. I think the first time we met may have even been a walk on the beach.
It was, yeah.
There you go. And through the journey of learning how to express my true feelings and emotions, it really cracked my heart wide open to the true essence of love. And for me, I always saw and experienced love as pain. And in a healing journey, what I learned was that there was going to be painful moments, but the true essence of love should not have pain attached to it. Meaning that, we could be so angry at each other, hurt each other, and then the next day, kiss and make up and all is well until the next blowout. And for me, it didn't work anymore, because I did that for decades. And today I choose to live a different way and spend less time in my head and spend more time with my heart open. And as a man who's 62 years old and speaking these words, it's unusual to hear, especially coming from a man. But I could tell you this is that the greatest gift, if you're listening right here, right now, men or women, have the courage to open your heart. And it doesn't mean that you open it to everybody and anybody, because not everybody is worthy of your love. But when you are able to first go through this journey of coming home to return to love of self and begin to really like yourself and eventually fall in love, you can start to become that conscious observer and decide who is worthy of your love. Not everybody is. Although what we can do, Deb and Prince, is truly become what we call master gardeners. And what I mean by that is plant the seeds. I meet strangers all the time, especially in a community where I live, where there's a lot of tourists flowing through Sedona. But I plant seeds, I turn the soil and I harvest. And all that means is that I work at accepting this truth, which is that all we need is love, and all we're seeking is love. And if we understand that, and understand that when someone's in pain, it just means that they've been hurt. And if we can show some compassion for them and maybe say something from your heart that's truth, just even look at them, smile, and acknowledge them. Sometimes that's all that it takes. And then they just kind of melt in your arms. And then the rest is history. You have that spontaneous connection. And so, yeah, so that's kind of, what do you make of that, Deb?
Courage. The courage to step in and to allow yourself to be loved, I think is a great message for today on Lionsgate. It's a portal. It's a portal. It's a time for us to let go of those things that we're holding on to that maybe served us at one point. You know, what I think about things today are that there's nothing wrong with any of us. This idea that we have placed on each other's heads of who we want each other to be is ridiculous. And that true love is loving the essence of who you are, just as you were talking about, Jay. Exactly. It's that there's probably going to be hurt moments, just as you said, and I am fully in alignment with that. The acceptance of you, all of you. Look how beautiful that you are in the mirror, and just taking in that essence and that love that you are. Recently I fractured my leg. I was extreme mopping. Okay. I was mopping with Murphy's oil soap. Whew, no fault to Murphy's oil soap whatsoever. I wasn't wearing shoes. Anyway, but this fracture, it's like that fracture is sort of what I am looking at with what you're talking about. I have been fractured open. This last year, I went through a lot. I had some health issues that Jay even showed up at a hospital for one time, not knowing at that time, Jay, that disease I had is what put me there. Interestingly enough, now it's gone. They've taken it. I'm good.
Beautiful.
I know. It's amazing. What was hard for me was the mental anguish that I was in. The changes, I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. There was a lot of things that happened. So I'm working through that. And this fracture's been this explosion of love. How does love show up for you today? How am I loving the pain? And today my physical therapist and I said, or she told me, you just need to make friends with it, honey, because it hurts you guys. I'm going to promise you this was a stinker. So learning to love the pain, the fracture, seeing the fracture, that it's enough, too much weight. What happens when there's too much going on, too much heaviness? And I got away from my practices because I was in my healing. I was staying in school and I have my degrees in communication and human development and all of these things now, because that's what kept my brain from deteriorating through all this, literally. But man, am I in gratitude today. I fractured my leg and I'm stoked about it because it's completely broken open my heart to seeing where in the hell I need to slow down in my life and love those that are here. That's how it shows up. I'm curious how it shows up for you, Fleety.
I'll unmute myself. How it shows up for me? It shows. Are we talking? You mean as in gratitude? You mean as in gratitude?
Whatever touches your heart, honey.
Whatever touches my. Oh, just okay. I'm very grateful that in this time of my life, that everything I have strived for is now showing up at my door. I don't go after it. It just shows up at my door, and I'm never surprised anymore. But I'm grateful that all the opportunities that are coming to me now, it's when you I was telling somebody the other day, when you let go and you quit trying to control and you let the flow just happen, things start happening. And when I let go of trying to make things happen, that's when things started happening. And I'm grateful that I had that knowledge or that intuition to learn that, and now letting all these wonderful things flow into my life that I've been striving for since I was a child.
Congratulations. I am stoked because you didn't give up. I saw this meme the other day, and this meme was one of the characters underneath was turning around with their axe from digging to get to the water, and the one on top was still going. And the one that turned around and walked away was just inches away. So don't quit before the magic. The magic is happening right now where you sit. There's
You
no,
know, I
there's
was
no, there's no win and win.
well, I,
WIN.
well, I was going to say that, yeah, yeah, I was going to say something and then it went right out of my head. It went right out, it'll come back. It'll come back. It'll out there somewhere. Okay,
right.
go ahead. Oh, no, I was going to say,
Well,
never giving up. Right. I mean, I've never, ever lost my thrill or my drive for what my passion is in life.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this, should I say how many years? A few decades. And I did my first concert with an orchestra at the age of 5. And I still have that same thrill all these years later whenever I do something. And it's really interesting because, you're never really aware of it when you're in the middle of it.
yeah.
And I always had a feeling that I was, the elusive when you get there, there's no elusive there, because when you get to that place, it's always something else. I'll be happy when I get there. Well, you're always striving or always moving forward. So when we think we've reached a goal or something, there's always something beyond that. And I never felt like I accomplished anything. This is the first time in my life and career I feel it. I can feel it happening, and I've done a lot of successful things in my career, and I've had highs and lows. In show business, you have highs and then you go down, and you go up and then you go down. But I never seem to able to get my foot over that line into the world, on a world global level. And now it's happening. And I can actually, for the first time, I can definitely say this, I can feel that I am reaching a place that I've been striving for my whole life.
I think it's beautiful, honey. And
Yeah.
you deserve, and you're so deserving and worthy of it.
Thank you.
Jay, I'm going to throw it at you. Ready? 1 is now. Backwards.
Correct. Well, I'm going to throw it at you. Alone is all one.
Ah! Rock on.
We're so hung up on being alone or feeling lonely.
Mm.
We don't have to. When we are aligned within, when we are comfortable with who we are and how we feel, we can be alone and be at peace. Right, Prince?
I can be alone and I'm never lonely.
I can be alone.
Yeah, there you go.
I can be alone and I'm never lonely. I was alone for a long time, actually, on purpose, Now I'm readjusting to that. There's a different balance in my life today that requires a different observation. Jay, I loved what you were saying earlier about that observation.
Mm-hmm.
I love what Fleety's saying about that persistence and that going with your passion and what sparks your G vibe, what sparks your gratitude vibe, your good vibe, your God vibe, whatever that might be, and you're right. It is just start, just do it. And, I needed to actually hear that today. I woke up this morning, Jay, and Fleety, and you know what? I've got my leg up on a bench right now. 4 weeks, I'm just laying in bed, and I know this is coming up, and I literally hit it in my heart, and Spirit's like, go on, and who will be there will be there.
That's it.
My heart is so full right now. I am so grateful right now because we're here right now in this moment. This moment we will never get back. There is no win. WINNWHEN. There's no waiting for something to happen before you're going to decide to get happy. There's no any of that. I had to make a decision in my life, and I'm going to tell you, both of you have seen me go through it. Whether it's in every arena, Doesn't matter. In every arena. You see me not even knowing where the hell I'm going to live to being where I'm at now,
Mm-hmm.
Having the gratitude ranch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even, I, I am so thankful for all the people that have shown up. Today, it's about how can I show up and where do I show up and how do I do that? And, well, how do we show up in community together?
Mm-hmm.
How do we have each other's back when the world's getting harder?
Mm-hmm.
How can we be there for one another so that nobody ever has to be in any of the positions that I've been in? There is definitely, we can be alone and not lonely, but also how do we show up as friends for each other and having as human beings? And today in this 8-8 portal, it just reminds me of the magic that we all are and to be there for one another. It's not the easiest thing, actually. You want to get out of your flunk. If anybody out there is going, yeah, that's really easy for you to say from where you sit at this moment, I'm going to tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
Get into gratitude, your life will change. Get into deep appreciation for where your life sits and don't bypass that. How do we not bypass feelings, Jay?
Look, you have to be willing to be brutally honest with yourself and really kind of look at where you're at and look at your relationships and look at if you're connected or disconnected at your own, what I call our own heart or soul level. To really be able to show up for other people, there's two ways we show up. We either show up in pain or we show up in love. And it's to me, it's that simple. But before we can show up for others, we have to first learn how to show up for the most important person in our life. It's not our husband. It's not our child. It's not a parent.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a child. Actually, it's a child within.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the gratitude comes in, is when you are able to truly embrace the principles that the child that you thought grew up with you didn't. The child is still there. So when you're having temper tantrums and meltdowns, and when you're getting angry, frustrated, lacking patience, lacking tolerance, being silly, being funny, laughing, crying, that's the child within. And when we truly embrace and understand that that child has been waiting a lifetime for us to come back home to that child, to provide to the child what perhaps we may not have received in our homes growing up for many different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter why we didn't get our needs met. The fundamental basic foundation for every child that should be born in the world. But today we get to show up for that child. For years, Deb, when you asked me, probably when we met, how many children do you have? And I would always answer it the same way. I have 3 children. Then the next question is boys or girls? I have all boys. And then you ask, what are their ages, right? We go through the series of the meet and greets. And for years, that was my storyline. And one day I was out in the wilderness where I get my downloads, where I have my direct connection to divine source. And in that moment, I realized that I had been speaking something that was not quite all true. I do have 3 sons that I birthed with my ex-wife, but I have a 4th son in my life. That's the most important child in my life. And that's the child within. And when I truly embrace that we all have that child within, our life can be changed forever. Because if you weren't a parent, or if you're not a parent, and you're going through life thinking like, well, I'm probably never going to have a child, that's not true. The child is right within you. And when we truly embrace this idea that we can develop a relationship and teach this child the true essence of love, and give this child the nurturing and nourishment and honoring and respect that they may not have received in their own childhood, our life can be changed forever. So that's where it can begin.
That is where it begins. Seriously, we were born these pure essences of joy,
Mhm.
and through programming,
There you go.
at some point, I got the thought in my head that I needed to do this certain behavior in order to keep myself safe.
Mm-hmm.
All of my behaviors were designed to keep me safe. But here's the thing. I figured out that they're not working for me as an adult.
There you go.
Can I tell you? I look redonkulous throwing an adult tantrum, and I do. But here's the cool part. I can throw one, and then also I'm working right now. My big thing is on uh, retraining my nervous system, seeing when it comes up, what's happening in here, and what I'm discovering is my nervous system, it was kind of stuck there when I was younger.
There you go.
It's like it kept reacting every time, and it's a process. I mean, it's all like this onion. They keep talking about an onion that just the layers keep coming. My layers are just coming and coming, and I had to take a hiatus even just from doing shows because through what I went through, it mentally affected me so much. I had to get back into, a different space.
Mm-hmm.
Man, telling you, I loved me as a kid. You know what my favorite things were? I want to know, what are your favorite things? What were your favorite things about you as a child? And Catherine, I see you right there. And it was the best surprise visit in the whole wide world. We were doing a training of a healing modality there. Terry and I were, and Catherine drove out to see us, and it was amazing. I love you, darling. Okay. So when I was a child, I loved anything to do with music. So I played guitar. I started theater when I was really young, and anything that I could play, act, be goofy, roller skate, play. I like to play in the mud. I really did. I did. And I like to make mud pies that I somehow coerced my sisters who were younger than me to taste. I was a really good cook. So riding my bike, but my imagination is the thing that I tap into the most, that I remember the most from being a child. The imagination to take a cardboard box and make paper puppets and create a play, or the imagination of playing with my dolls and having their whole life, And those are the things that I remember when I tap into my inner child. So how I play with that today.
There you go.
Is I go out to my yard and I get on my swings. I have swings and I swing. I literally swing. It is so much fun. I will dance anywhere I'm at. So including if I'm walking down the aisle of the store and a cool song hits, I'm jamming. How it shows up today is within the freedom of expression. I don't really care what other people think of me. There used to be a shame there for me. I used to hold a lot of shame on how people saw me. Mm-hmm. But letting go of the shame and allowing the humility, I've been, I'm sure if I say I've been humbled, I'll find something else to get humbled about again.
There's always more.
I'll tell you what. So the humility, though, is such a beautiful thing. Humility just simply means I'm accountable. I did this thing. This happened, whatever. It's not, I don't need to make it so big. Mm-hmm. But shame used to keep me playing small. And so then I wasn't going to be my full expression. I'm not going to go dancing down the aisles or dancing down the street or doing that thing that brings me joy or going up on the stage with Prince Fleet Easton because, can't do that because, right? Come on. I mean, seriously, there's the idea that we can play and how it shows up. But really, the biggest place it shows up for me right now, is just going and sitting outside on the swing. And I'm sitting on a different swing where I can put my leg up and embracing the magic of my trees. I mean, you guys, have you ever looked and seen how much trees sparkle? And then the birds, they sing so much. And life is big, and if you're not allowing yourself laughter and to enjoy it because you're concerned about the win, you're just stealing moments from you that you really, all I can say is you're so worth mm-hmm. loving. that's mine. So I want to hear about somebody else's inner child and how that you play with it today.
Fleet, you're up.
Yeah, I'm up. Oh no. How do I play with my inner child? Oh. What you were talking about when you were a child. I mean, I was singing and dancing around the house. And like I said, I came in with this. I knew when I was a little teeny kid what I was going to do my whole life. I knew then. So I don't know. I brought it in from a previous life somewhere because nobody in my family did what I did. And they looked at me like I was some creature from another planet because it's like, where did this come from? We don't have this. We don't do this. But you were talking about little, stories when you were a child. I always like to share this one because I'm writing a book about my life and career. And this is one of the most things that I remember so well. I had a potato masher. We had a wooden potato masher, and I wrapped it in aluminum foil. And that was like my prized possession. That was my microphone. And I knew someday I was going to have my own I'm talking about a little kid. We're talking like 6, 7 years old, this was my microphone. And I would learn all the songs and stuff. And I'd have my parents come down. We'd go down in the rec room and I would sing these songs for them. And like I said, I just knew it's what brings me joy. I heard Michael Jackson once say, he said, I feel the only time I really feel alive is when I'm on stage. And I feel alive all the time, but it's so special because I'm sharing, and we've talked about this. There's something magical happens, and I can't describe it, but it's almost like I'm downloading something when I'm on stage because I'm there, but I'm not there. I'm kind of aware of what's going on, but it's organic and it's just happening. And that's part of my joy. And I wanted to bring up something real quick because you were talking about self-worth. My dear friend Lori Davis, who has a self-worth course out of Canada, and I took her self-worth course. And it's very interesting that the different things as we're growing up as children that we take on, that we hear, and we don't even know it subconsciously. And why I'm telling you this is because as soon as I went through that course, it took about a year. As you say, pulling off the onion skins, that's when everything clicked. So somewhere in my subconscious, I had blockages that I wasn't even aware of. And from things that I had heard and said, because I heard people say, well, people don't like it when you brag about yourself. Who do you think you are? You think you're something special, and you hear those things as children by people. And somewhere they kind of plant a seed in there. And I never realized it until I went through the whole course. And that's why what I'm talking about is because of earlier of what I'm saying about how I feel now as compared to how I used to feel. It opened a whole door for me of a self-worth thing that now I don't care what other people think about me or what I do. I bring joy to people. I bring joy to their lives with my singing and my performing. And that's my job here in this 3-dimensional earthly plane. That's my job. And I'm feeling the self-worth now that I want to say it this way. People have a tendency to mistake ego with confidence. I'm very confident at what I do. I'm not egotistical at all at what I do. There are so many people out there that are tremendous talents, and I would never put myself in the category of saying I'm the best in the world, but I know I'm damn good at what I do. And that's all I need to know. I don't have to compete with anybody. I just have to stay in my own lane. And I tell that all the time. I write that on Facebook. I tell people, stay in your own lane. Don't worry about what's happening in the left lane. Don't worry about what's happening in the right lane. If people are passing you by on the freeway, because that is not your destination. Your destination is in your lane. That's their destination. If that was supposed to be your destination, you would be over in that lane. But that's not your lane.
Beep, beep. Just honk at them as they're going by, okay?
That's not what's destined for you. So you stay in your own lane, and you feel joy of what you're doing, and I do. I feel joy of what I do, and I am so grateful that I can be here to, give impart this information to you and be with my friends. And that's the most important thing. And and as you mature and get older, things that were once important are not as important as they seem to be 40 years ago. And it's it's a freeing experience. It just allows you to be like Sophia Petrillo on the Golden Girls.
That's our goal.
You have an unfiltered mind. You think it, you say it.
Thank you. I love that, Fleety. So I'm going to bring Walt from all the way today up, and welcome, Walt. Well, we're talking about our inner child, what our favorite experiences were from being our younger self, and how we do it today. And it is Jay's turn. I give you a minute to think about it. Welcome to Lionsgate 88. It's magic. All right, Jay, take it away.
I'll keep it real brief. For me, just thinking back, this some simple things that probably a lot of adults could relate to. I really wasn't a great creator, let's say with Legos or Play-Doh, but there was something about popping open a can of Play-Doh, and I just loved the smell. I don't know if you remember what that smelled like, but that was important in my life. As a kid, I loved riding a bike because that was one of the few times I experienced what I'll call freedom. And the other game that I didn't really think about until you posed this question in tonight's show was hide and go seek. And as soon as I recalled that experience, I understand now why that had so much meaning in my life, was because all I wanted to do was hide because I didn't feel safe. And as a kid, you're in it. You don't have, unless you're an old soul that has an awareness early on. I didn't. But the beautiful thing is that as we go through this experience of what I call growing up as the adult, and then inviting our child within, being there for them so that they can start to grow up with us and catch up to us. I don't know if we ever really get there, especially if you start at the age that I started. But I'm okay with that too, because there's a part of me that I want to be able to provide that safe place for that little boy, JJ, that he didn't feel safe to play when he was a kid. Now he gets to play. He gets to have play dates. Sometimes just he and I. Sometimes I invite a friend. Sometimes it's my beautiful partner, Mary. But when we're in play, we're in play, and I'm aware of it. And it's one of the greatest gifts that we get to experience as the adult that's going through the aging process. Is it's okay to be silly. It's okay to give yourself permission to have fun. And we don't do enough of that as adults. We're so busy chasing something outside of ourselves that we forget that all of our needs are met if we just look in a mirror and pay attention to the part of ourselves that, for most of us, abandoned when we became the adult. So that's my short of it. And I'm glad that Deb, you were absolutely pinnacle part of my experience of coming out from playing hide and go seek. Today, I love the work I do. My passion project is hosting and producing the talk show. And for me, it's one of the greatest joys I get because I don't have to hide anymore. And I'm not seeking too much outside of myself. Truly, I'm at peace with where I'm at. And I live a very simple life today, but I'm at peace with that. And I don't need a whole lot to fill me up. As long as I have a bike, many days I ride my bike to work now. And when I'm riding that bike, I'm not 62 years old riding my bike. I'm 6 years old, and sometimes I'm 10 years old. And I let that younger self pick out the music we're going to listen to as we're riding 10, 12, 15 minutes to get to the office, to where I then take people out on the land and do soulful healing. So it's a whole new way to live life. We just have to be willing to show up and grow up for the child within, and take accountability and responsibility for our own child within, and provide to them what perhaps we didn't receive in our own childhood growing up.
That's so beautiful. I love this. And in Sedona is where you're at.
Mhm.
You offer some amazing hike retreats for
Correct.
people. I mean, and Mary provides these incredible dinners. So maybe we can put that into the chat, just into the chat, so that people can find you. And then your show comes on. What day is it on now? Fridays?
Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's every quarter or so we have a female join us to get the yin and yang, the balance of the feminine and masculine divine within. Although all four of us show up very much at peace with our masculine and feminine divine energy within. Sometimes, there we go. Is that the masculine or feminine divine coming in right
That
there?
would be the feminine.
Okay. All right. But, at the end of the day, it really is, freedom comes from within when we feel safe to be able to express and show vulnerability as men and women. And that's truly when we experience the true essence of freedom and inner peace. So if there's nothing else I want to say tonight, I'm going to need to jump off. Unfortunately, in about 4 minutes to jump into a production meeting for our upcoming show this week. But I want to thank you, Deb, for inviting me in today, and also for seeing in me what I didn't see in myself when we met back at Huntington Beach, I think around 2017.
Yeah.
And it was towards the end of the beginning of 2018 when I actually launched my first podcast on Spirituality Gone Wild. And if you hadn't shown up right on time, I don't know that I'd even be here today having this amazing conversation on your eighth year anniversary today. So thank you for seeing in me what I didn't see in myself and believing in me.
Absolutely. It was easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Well, thank you.
Thank
I'm
you,
going to
Jay.
stay on just for a few more moments, and then I'll drop off. But Prince, it's great to see you. Walt, it's nice to meet you. And Deb.
This is Walt. This is LOA today. And I believe you guys have met maybe a long time ago. But Walt's been with Spirituality Gone Wild a couple of years now. And he's been actually doing this for 12 years.
It'll be 11 years next month.
11 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. So, Walt, just, you know what? Anything that comes to your heart, because we're about ready to wrap it up here. But I would love to know any thought that you've got on anything.
Well, I was loving what Jay was saying, first of all. And
All
I'm
right,
sorry,
yeah.
Mary, I'm sorry I missed what you said, because I have a feeling it was pretty spectacular, but unfortunately I jumped on just at the end of that. But I loved what Jay was saying. My instant reaction when you asked the question as I jumped onto the show here was, you mean I'm an adult? Really? I think I've actually learned more about being a kid now than when I was a kid. I'm not kidding. When I was a kid, I didn't know half about being a kid as I know now. I've learned so much more in the last 10, 15 years about being a kid than I ever knew when I was young. I mean, I don't remember who said it. Somebody once said that youth is wasted on the young, and I think there's some truth to that, because you don't really get what you got when you're there. It's like you have to go through all this process to get to the point where you realize, wow, that's pretty cool stuff. That's really great stuff. You guys were talking about, connecting with your masculine and your feminine, connecting with your inner child. I think that's really what life's about. I mean, we go through all these trials and tribulations. We have the ups and the downs, sometimes really bad downs. I've certainly had my share of those the past year. I know many other people have as well. But through all of that is the process. That ups and downs process is how we really learn what our inner child is, who we are, who we originally were when we came into this life. Why we came here. One of my, this one, Debbie, because you did the show with me a few times, quite a few times. But one of my favorite things to point out about, like soul contracts and why did I come into this life and so forth is to follow up with the comment, what was I thinking? because that's the way it felt to me so often. When I look back at, I came into this life and I'm living this life the way I did. What on earth was I thinking to come in and do it this way? Because I mean, it just seems some of the things that I've gone through have been bizarre, painful, frightening, all kinds of crazy stuff. Why would I do that? And then I realized, oh, yeah, but look at all I've learned about how to be that inner child. Oh, I guess that's why I did it. That's why I went through all this craziness. Because it turns out at the end of the day, the craziness is how you learn how to be the little kid.
Yep. You realize that masks off, they're no longer needed, and we can just be that we choose to be. And what's interesting is all of us really are really good. Jay had to go, but we're all really good at our inner child. I know Fleety is for sure. See, I have hung out with Fleet in person. We are like down with the whole inner child thing. No problemo. True, Fleet.
It's embarrassing. No, not really. Nah.
We do have a great time cross-pollinating, but I think you're right. I think that it's wasted, that being your inner child, that's wasted on the youth. How did you say that?
Yeah.
Well, that's basically the quote. Yeah, the youth is wasted on the young.
Youth is wasted on the young. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Because you don't know when you're young, you don't get it. You don't really understand what you've got right there.
No, you don't. And even 5 years ago, sometimes life has to fracture you, and in my case, literally, because sometimes it's just getting too heavy, and we have forgotten how to play. And hopefully, people have gotten the message today that loving yourself fully and showing up for yourself fully is the only way to be. 8-8 Lionsgate is a portal. It's a time to do something just a little bit different for yourself. Well, thank you for stopping by. Prince Fleet, thank you so much for stopping by. I just want to say I am so grateful for all of you. And this was an impromptu, but Spirituality Gone Wild is alive and thriving. Watch LOA today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What time? Because you said you changed it.
Well, I'm now recording Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at different times. So if you're trying to catch the live portion of it as we're recording it, Mondays would be in Eastern time zone, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tuesdays and Wednesdays would be 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
But of course, the easy thing to do is just subscribe to the podcast. That way you get it whenever you're going to look at it. It doesn't make any difference at that point.
And how do they do that?
Well, you go to any podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Where do you get your podcast? That's where you go. You just search for LOA Today, and there it is. It just pops right up.
I love that. And Prince Fleet Easton will be on tour. He's going to be doing all kinds of great things. So make sure you watch out for him. And your song is available on all of those.
Spotify, Apple, iCore, iTunes, everywhere. Because all you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need.
Thank you. And everybody, thank you for chilling with us tonight. If you're watching on the replay, please make sure that you are loving you to the fullest extent that you can today. And nobody did anything wrong. We're all so good. Hey, well, you know those reasons that you chose to come here and do all those things? Because believe me, I sometimes wonder too. But we wouldn't be able to be who we are if we didn't.
Very true.
Came here to feel. We got the feelies. Bye, everybody.
Bye.